type 2. More specifically, what is it? So diabetes type 2 is a chronic disease where the body and the blood sugar cannot be regulated due to a resistance to insulin created by the pancreas. So some of you guys may be asking yourself, what is insulin? So insulin is a hormone secreted by your pancreas that helps take the sugar out of your bloodstream and move it into the cells to help regulate your normal blood sugar value, which should be between 70 and 100 milligrams per deciliter. Now, when experiencing diabetes, you might also experience some of the following signs and symptoms. You may find that you have an increased thirst. You may find that you're going to the bathroom a lot more. You may find that you are hungry a lot more. However, you're not going to notice a weight gain. Instead, you're actually going to notice a weight loss without dieting or exercising. You may start to notice that you begin to feel tired a lot more frequently and that your vision can kind of get a little blurry from time to time. One final symptom is that any injuries that you experience that you might have, such as a scratch on your elbow or even your knee, you may realize that those are going to heal a lot less. Now in the next half, we're going to talk about foods that are beneficial and detrimental to diabetes. Hey guys! Welcome back to our talk about diabetes. So one thing that has been asked a lot is, what kind of foods can I eat and what foods should I avoid? Some of the food that is actually good for someone with diabetes, because they're low in sugar and they still contain important nutrients, include fatty fish like salmon, sardines, herring, anchovies. You can also eat some leafy green vegetables such as spinach, kale. Broccoli is also very good for it, as well as squash. Eggs and Greek yogurt are very good, low in sugar, great for someone with diabetes, and a nice breakfast substitute in the morning or even as a snack. If you're hungry throughout the day, you can enjoy a nice serving size of nuts such as pistachios, almonds, cashews. You can also enjoy some nice berries, strawberries, raspberries. They're all wonderful. And then if you would like to add some seasoning to your food at all, you can put in some cinnamon or even some garlic, because they don't really have many detrimental effects to those who have diabetes. Now the foods that one should really avoid are the ones that increase blood sugar. Now with this, that includes your common saturated fats, so butter, bacon, sausage, more high-fat dairy or high-fat animal proteins. You also want to try and avoid your trans fat and maybe get rid of those completely. These are found more in processed snacks, baked goods, shortening when you're baking, or even a nice stick of margarine. You want foods that don't have really high cholesterol. These are foods like egg yolks. Even though they are good for you, you don't want to just eat a whole bunch of egg yolks. Liver, other meat organs, or even again, the common butter and bacon that are used almost with everything. As for your sodium intake or your table salt intake, you want to try and keep it below 2,300 or 2,300 milligrams a day. I know that it's hard. There's a lot of sodium in a lot of things, but the lower and less amount of sodium that you can have is the better. Also, finally, you want to try and avoid or even cut out foods that include high sugar counts or even high carb counts. So some of you are wondering about alcohol consumption. Well, if you choose to use alcohol for any reason, you should limit your daily intake, since alcohol lowers the release of carbs from the liver and can lead to low blood sugar. Also, if you are taking insulin because of the diabetes, you should be aware that alcohol can prolong the effects of insulin, which can lead to hypoglycemia and therefore should be used in moderation. If you are a woman watching this video, you should have at least 1 drink per day or less. And if you are a man, you can have 2 drinks a day or less. 1 drink has been equal to 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of 80 proof distilled spirits, which include whiskey, rum, and vodka.
Let's say someone were to eat a potato, which is high in carbohydrates. As they're eating this potato, it starts to break down in their mouth, and the process will end in their small intestine. When the potato reaches the small intestine and is done being digested, it is turned into glucose. It then goes into our bloodstream, which causes our blood sugar to go up. Once the pancreas hears about this extra sugar in the blood, it sends out insulin. This insulin then grabs the glucose and moves it through a gate in our cells. This way, we have energy to do the things we want. When somebody with diabetes eats the potato, their body does the same thing by converting it into glucose. So once the glucose enters the blood, the diabetic person's pancreas sends out insulin, which then grabs the glucose to bring it to the cell. But the cell won't open the gate to allow the glucose in. This causes there to be a lot of glucose traveling in our blood, which causes the high blood sugar. So you may be wondering, why do cells not allow the insulin to bring glucose in? This is because over time, after eating things high in sugar or carbohydrates, our pancreas has sent out so much insulin that the cells have just become so used to it that they don't open the gate all the time. So it's important that people with diabetes use the glycemic index, which is the number that tells you how fast your body converts the carbohydrates into sugar. So the smaller the number, the less impact the food has on your blood sugar. And we'll include a link onto our website to show you how you can figure out the glycemic index number. So when looking at a food label, you kind of want to look at the total carbohydrates. So like in this, there's 23 grams, but 6 of those are from dietary fibers and 1 is from total sugars. So this is something that would be good for you because of the amount of fiber in it. And then looking at this angel hair pasta, there is 42 grams of carbohydrates, 2 of which are fiber and 1 is sugar. So this is very high in carbs. You probably want to find a substitute for something like this, like maybe spaghetti squash. So looking at this, there's 46 grams of carbohydrates, which is all sugar. And make sure when you're looking at the food labels that you're also looking at the serving size. So obviously for this one, it's 1 can, but going back and looking at the pasta here, 1 serving size for this would be about 1/8 of the package. So kind of just making sure you're keeping track of the serving size. And so looking at something like Kraft mac and cheese, this is the packet containers, so it would be one of those, has 39 grams of carbohydrates. Only less than 1 gram of that is fiber, 5 is sugar. So this is also very high in carbs, which would not be good for you.
Oh, hey there! Welcome back to our cooking show.
So today we're making spaghetti squash Alfredo. And instead of using angel hair, which is high in carbohydrates, we will be using spaghetti squash. And we're also substituting Alfredo sauce, which is normally made with cream, with something that is made with evaporated skim milk. Okay, so what you want to do first is take the spaghetti squash and cut it in half. And then you're going to take a spoon and scoop out all the content inside. And you want to take a little bit of olive oil and just rub it on. And then you can flip them over. And preheat your oven to about 375. And then you can pop it. So next what you want to do is start shredding the inside of the spaghetti squash to get it into that noodle shape. So keep doing both of these. Like this, just taking a fork and just kind of peels right out. So next you want to take your heated up Alfredo sauce and pour some into the shredded spaghetti squash and just mix it up. And then once this is done, it's all done.
Alright, so now we're going to talk about portion control. So portion control is really important when you're dealing with diabetics or diabetes in general. You're going to want to make sure that your carbohydrates are within 45 to 50% of each meal each day. And this is individualized per diabetic patients. For sugar, whatever sugar that you eat throughout the day, that should be substituted for the carbs that you're eating. So when you have like a piece of cake, that will be considered a part of your carbohydrate percentage of the day. For protein, you want to make sure that you're eating between 15 to 20% per meal. And you want to limit processed meats like bacon, deli meats, ham, anything that's really, really fatty. You want to decrease those and increase lean proteins such as ground turkey, chicken, and even lean beef if you can do that too. For your daily fiber intake, you want to be taking in 25 to 50 grams per day. And high fiber foods include fruits and vegetables, oatmeal, beans and legumes, anything like that, that'll be your best friend. For fat, you want to make sure that your daily intake is less than 30%. You want to make sure that trans fat is completely eliminated or very, very minimal. And then you want to make sure that your saturated fat is less than 7% each day. All right, so next, a really important topic is shopping and budgeting. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you prep before you go to the grocery store. So you can do this by determining your budget. And when you determine your budget, you want to make sure that you take cash out instead of using your card, because this will help you save money. You want to make sure you plan your meals in advance by using the weekly meal planner, which we'll have on our webpage, so you can look at that. And you can write down all your meals, your snacks, and all your drinks that you're going to have for the week. You also want to determine the ingredients you're going to need to use to cook the certain meals that you want, and this will determine any ingredients that you have to buy as well. Next, for shopping tips, a couple tips for when you're shopping. Don't shop when you're hungry, because then you'll be apt to buy things that aren't good for you and things that you're in the mood for at the time. Make sure you stick to your list. Join a rewards program if your grocery store has one, and I know Hannaford's does, so that's another option if you have a Hannaford's around you. Check for the store's coupons and deals. And you want to try to buy things in bulk, specifically like rice, oatmeal, or anything like that, because those in the long run will be cheaper if you buy them in bulk. If you eliminate soft drinks and juices, that'll save you money and it'll help you with your sugar intake as well. And make sure you check sell-by dates before buying anything, because you don't want to waste any food while you're shopping and wasting food throughout the week as well. Okay, so lastly, we're going to talk about healthy cooking methods. So first things first, like I mentioned before, you want to make sure that you're using olive oil instead of butter. So always refrain from butter and use oils instead. Specifically coconut oil, olive oil, anything like that, that'll be good. Better ways to cook are probably grilling, broiling, and steaming, baking or stir frying, anything like that. Everything else besides frying is good, because frying adds increased fat to your meals. Steaming vegetables in water or even low sodium broth can be good too. It keeps the nutrients in and you're not adding any additional salt or fat to your vegetables. When cooking chicken or poultry or anything like that, try to remove the skin or even buy skinless meat or poultry or anything. Trim any excess or visible fat when you're cooking any meat, because that'll decrease the fat. For seasonings, try to use herbs and spices instead of salt. You don't want to add any increased salt to your diet, so try to use herbs like thyme, rosemary, oregano, anything like that. Black pepper is good too. And if you're going to make a soup and you refrigerate soups, try to skim off the fat at the top before cooking it up or heating it up again, because that'll decrease the fat as well. And if you're going to use any canned vegetables or canned fruits or anything, make sure you rinse them before you eat them and serve them, because that'll decrease the sodium.